This is the horizontally launched projectile lab. So at each lab table, you're going to have 2 meter sticks. One will be used to measure the height of the table, and the other one will be on the floor to measure how far the marble travels in the X direction. You'll also have a metal marble. I've got several here. And you'll have this ramp with notches. There'll be 5 notches on the ramp. So the first thing that we need to do when we're doing horizontal projectiles is we need to measure the height of the table. This will be the displacement the marble will travel in the Y direction. So I'm just going to take that meter stick. I'm going to place it just as straight up and down as I can, and I will measure the height of the table. And I'll go ahead and put that picture up there so you can get that height. So that'll vary depending on what table you're at, but that's just for this table that we're doing this lab at. Also, you're going to need to place a meter stick on the ground to measure how far that marble travels. You want to make sure that the 0 is lined up with the edge of the table that it's going to roll off. So the marble is going to roll down this ramp, roll off of the table, and we want to measure how far that marble travels. So we're going to just go ahead and start by just with notch 1. We're going to do each notch. I'm going to let it roll off the table. Now I have this back far enough because I notice that it's not completely flush to the table. It will bounce a little bit. The reason why it's this far back is because there's not going to be a lot of friction as this ball is rolling. We just don't want it to bounce. We want it to be rolling at a certain velocity, and we're going to measure that velocity as it goes off. That's the whole idea behind this. So I'm just going to go ahead, place it on notch number 1, and we're going to go ahead and launch it, and we're going to measure how far that marble travels. Okay. Now I'm going to do this on notch number 2. It's going to be going a little bit faster. Now I'm going to do this on notch number 3. Notch number 4. And notch number 5, the fastest one. There we go. All right, so you can see it's starting to bounce towards the end. I did this lab earlier and I did collect the data. I think this might have been a little bit farther back just to eliminate that bounce. So I'll go ahead and put those results up on a table so we can just use that data in order to calculate that velocity. So in order to calculate the velocity that marble left the table, we can use the kinematic equation. So I'm going to go ahead and put those up here. Notice that I have 4 kinematic equations going in the Y direction, and I have 1 going in the X direction. And that's because, well, once it goes off, there's not an acceleration in the X direction. So I only have 1 one equation on the X direction. So using the data and using the kinematic equations, you should be able to calculate how fast that marble travels off the edge at the different notches. So once again, this is the horizontally launched projectile lab.